Okay, I'm sorry I'm late. I know your time is valuable. So I'm here to pitch you a story. It's a show. It's a show that's set in the Milky Way galaxy, and it's about this guy who's born under some of the worst circumstances you could ever imagine. His mom is the first person in her family to not be born in a cave, right? And this she has a son and he's born in this place that's ruled by cartels, okay? And as this kid's growing up, he just sees some horrendous, horrible shit, and they live under some pretty horrible circumstances. Like this kid mom is constantly running home, trying to escape people trying to kidnap her. Just your standard issue cartel stuff. And so one day, this woman's at a bus stop and she's now pregnant. Her spouse at the time, well, he's gone, he's out of the picture. And there's a shooting, ba 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 ba. And she and another woman are the only people left alive in this bus stop. And so this woman decides, like, I gotta get out of Dodge. So she takes her 8-year-old son at the time, his name's Isak, by the way, and they immigrate to this new place. And that journey itself was insane for this little kid. And when they get to this new country, it's like an alien landscape. He doesn't speak the language, neither does she. They're homeless. They pretty much have to start from zero. And it becomes like this harrowing journey just to get housing. Think about that. And throughout this time, as this kid's growing up, he's accepted by a gang of the same people as him, like the nationals from his homeland. He gets accepted into his gang culture and he starts doing all this crazy shit, like committing robbery, selling drugs, and he just thinks that this is going to be his life until one day this kid decides to do something bold, something crazy, and he joins this country's military. He's not even a citizen at the time. He worked really hard to get a residency, and then when he finally gets a residency, he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna join the Marine Corps. So this guy Isak joins the Marine Corps and he goes on this crazy adventure. He gets to live in Japan for 3 years and just has this like incredible eye-opening experience into like what the world actually is. And this whole time, as this guy's doing this, since he's been a teenager, because he's always felt like an alien, he was creating these guides, right? And he's got a bunch of them. And these guides are survival guides on how to get through specific events, because again, this guy comes from nothing, he knows nothing, and the education that he's provided is that of survival. So in his Marine Corps journeys, he like starts writing even more guides on how to get ahead, how to survive, how to deal with certain events, situations. And when he gets out, he buys a bus with his best friend and they start traveling across the United States, just continuing to see the world. And he becomes a filmmaker, this guy. And he starts using his camera to get to all these other places around the world. And he starts doing this for a living. For 10 years, he becomes an assistant director, works on all these cool documentaries. And he just has these crazy journey of survival because that's all he's always done. And he figures it out, when he turns 30, this guy has his own house, he has his own business, he's got a thriving career, he's happily married. And then get this is where the story gets good. The world starts falling apart. So this guy spends 30 years of his life learning how to survive, how to get ahead. And he finally has it all, right? He has a house, his time is his own. And the world starts falling apart. It starts with like a genocide, and then the potential world war, and all these countries start beefing, right? And then, all right, we've seen this before. The world is kind of freaking out, but then all of a sudden they're like, guess what? Artificial intelligence exists. Maybe potential sentient robots. Maybe the minds of everybody is being brainwashed by this like crazy algorithm that nobody really knows how to control. And then on top of that, we got to throw aliens in the midst. So there's this like giant comet that all the world's greatest minds are divided about. Is it an alien spacecraft or is it just a type of meteorite we've never seen before? Nobody seems to know. The world chaos level 10. Meanwhile, this guy's just chilling, like just having a good time, continuing to do his thing because he knows how to maneuver through this type of world because that's all he's ever had to do. And so And so as this guy is watching the world burn, he realizes that, hey, maybe I have something of value that I can provide to people so that they don't have to have these big freakouts, so that maybe they can learn to navigate this madness themselves. Because this guy has always taken the path less traveled, right? And now the world is almost catching up to the madness that he's always been around, but he's got about 15, 20 years experience on him. So the calling comes in the most uncomfortable way for this guy because he's always behind the camera. Now he has to be in front of it, right? And the show itself is this guy trying to consolidate all these guides, because these two books that I showed here are just a small fraction of all of the journals that I have and that I've collected over the years. And that's pretty much the premise of the show, is this guy finding the best, most valuable things that will benefit a universal audience and condensing them down into a survival field guide for this modern age. Or I should start using I get nervous. I use third person. So I guess this is the very first beginning of the actual show. Like, if you like the pitch that I just gave you, hi, welcome, subscribe, and now this is where we're actually going to start. And part two of the show involves the audience, you. You know, I need you as much as you need me, in the sense of it's going to be interactive. So everything that we go over is going to always first start with a story from my life. Like, the next one is about the first and last robbery that I ever committed and how that got me into journaling. And so if you want this to actually like benefit you, you're gonna need to follow along. I'm gonna put everything out for free, and all you have to do is do some work, you know, some inner work, because it's all gonna be about yourself. So that's the second component of the show, and it gets broken down in three ways. Way number one, you're watching these videos and we do some follow alongs. I'll prompt you and all that stuff. Way two, you listen to the audio only versions, which will have like weekly updates and troubleshooting procedures on how to get through particular things. So for example, the first thing we're going to be learning about is journaling, because that's the thing that changed my life. That's the thing that I think any great person in history has had. And those are some of the things that we admire, like people reading Marcus Aurelius, Leonardo da Vinci's, all of them left these journals behind that have helped the world a lot. So you need to do that. You need to make a journal. You need to get whatever's inside of here and get it out into material reality. And we need to do that so that you can become the main person in your movie. And so that you can be a little bit less scared of the world, but also so that you have data, because you need data in order to plan. And if everything is just jumbled up in your head, how the fuck are you ever going to do it? You know, with the way that everything is, you're already overloaded. So that's part two. You got to participate. And the third part is me, in a sense, putting my money where my mouth is, right? And let me tell you, it starts with me leaving everything I love, my house, my community, my job even. I am also at a place where not only doing this makes me uncomfortable, but I'm quitting filmmaking as my main job, right? I don't want to produce anymore. I don't want to be an assistant director anymore, because it takes so much of my time. So this third part of the show is me moving to New York and trying to learn how to become an artist there. And what I mean by artist is like me creating some form of art to put out into the world, because I've always facilitated art, and this is the next stage of who I want to become. And I can't do that here in Seattle. I'm a little bit stagnant. I feel like I've hit my capacity for what I can do here. So I'm moving on, and I'm doing something that's really scary. And as we're going through these parts, I'll also do an audio weekly update where I will be talking to some of my friends who are very successful and happy with their lives, and they've made it in their own ways. I will be talking to some of the people that I coach, and we'll dive deeper into these video lessons that I'm going to put out. And as we do that, it will all build upon itself. And what we're doing in our first step is trying to get you connected to who you really are, right? That's why we need to start journaling. And then we're going to start dissecting and collecting data as to this being. And then we're going to gear everything towards taking a calculated risk. For example, the one that I was telling you about when I was a younger person, joining the military, or like the first time that I committed like a Tom Cruise Mission Impossible style robbery. And we're gonna talk about like how to do that. And because I've been privileged to have been in the military where they teach you how to be a tactician, I feel like I have some pretty good methods and techniques so that you can take a risk that is most likely going to help you succeed. And so that's going to be the very first stage of everything that we start doing here. So, Jesus Christ. So, welcome to Today in the Milky Way. If you like my pitch, subscribe, join whatever this is going to turn into. And next time, we're going to cover journaling. And I'll tell you about the first robbery I committed when I was 15 years old. And just be ready to, write down, put some work, put some thought in behind your life and who you are and where you want to be. So, yeah, I'll see you next week.